What inspired you to write this book with this topic?
Hmm. In America, maybe other places, I don't know, because I'm from America, but in America, there's an increasing number of people who were spiritually inclined but disillusioned by religion. The religion, the common religion of their country or their parents, disillusioned by the dogma, their rituals. And they they wanted something more genuine, spiritual without the things they found contradictory or questions they had that weren't answered in the religion they grew up in, they weren't satisfied with. So, but another thing is if you look at the essence of all religions, you'll see there's certain spiritual principles like compassion, kindness, tolerance, and spiritual knowledge about the body and so forth. And so I found more and more that there were so many people who had genuine interest in spirituality, but were like disillusioned with religion. Even the word God like turned them off. And and so I wanted to write a book to address those people who were on a spiritual path that were searching. A lot of times they're searching and they don't know what they're searching for, or they want to be on a spiritual path. And I wanted to help them because I came from that, and so I kind of know what you go through when you're looking for, 'cause you're looking to become more spiritual. And so what we did in the book was we we designed it for people who want to be spiritual and how step by step they can do that, what they need to understand, what they need to practice. I have a lot of exercises in the book, for example, and it's quite entertaining and stimulating intellectually. And it was kind of like the book, it's basically the book I would wish I would have had when I was looking. And the book like that I wanted a book like I would give to like my friends, my relatives, but I didn't have it. So I thought, okay, I'll write the book. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's amazing. In your book, of course, you talk about this difference between being religious and being spiritual. But I think there's lots of confusion about what actually does that mean. For some people, spirituality, for example, means they like to go to the forest, they like to walk, watching the sun. And for some people, spirituality means like really dedication, austerity, monastic type of
Yeah.
life. There's so many techniques, so many schools of thought, spiritual
Yeah. Yeah.
masters. I think this spiritual market is quite, also shady today because people
Yeah.
can really be overwhelmed. What would you
Yeah.
say? What is the true meaning of being spiritual? What does that person do in daily life?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a few meanings because you start with the word spirit. So what does spirit mean? Well, we are spiritual beings. So being spiritual means at least you realize, or at least you know that you're not just a physical being. So that's one thing. Spiritual also means in relation to the Supreme Spirit. So everything is created, everything in this world is coming from God or the divine, or whatever you want to call him. And a spiritual person sees everything in relation to him. And a materialistic person sees everything in relation to themselves, what they can gain. This is like, I look at this world and I think, well, what can I get from it? Spiritual person will see, what can I give to it? And how it's in connection with everything's connected with the supreme. So like in my life, for example, I everything that I have, I try to use in service to God and to others. I don't think, oh, this is mine. I think it's a gift. It has been given to me. I will use it. That's a spiritual way of thinking. When I look at people, I think, how can I serve them? I don't see them just as physical beings, but how can I serve them spiritually? That's a spiritual way of being. I simplify my life. That's a spiritual way of being because I'm not a physical being, so I don't need as much. I joke with people. I say, you should become spiritual. You'll save money. You won't need as much. You'll be satisfied. And the other thing is, which is really important, is the nature of the soul or consciousness is that it's blissful. So when you realize your soul, you become happy. And so you become happy and satisfied. That's a sign of being spiritual for sure. Of course, you can be happy and satisfied doing many things, but this is a deeper kind of happiness, satisfaction. It's not dependent on having something or doing something. That's really a sign of a spiritually evolved person. They don't. It's not like they need circumstances to make themselves happy. They already are. They're connected with that. So how's
Mm.
that? Is that okay
Yeah,
for a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
start?
yeah. And also, can you tell us a bit more? How can people avoid being misled by the false teachings or false teachers? Or maybe the question should go deeper. Are there false teachers? Because, everyone gets what they deserve or what they're looking for, I think, in
Yeah,
one
yeah,
sense.
yeah, it's true. Well, one spiritual master, yeah, lived about 150 years ago. He said, there's a lot of people that don't really want spiritual life internally. They want it like as a show, or they want to think they're spiritual. And so there's spiritual masters for them who gives them what they want. And it's not genuine, but there's a market for them. And so they'll be there. One of the things is that if you're looking for a spiritual master, one thing you can observe is that if he has disciples, you're going to be like them. So you look at them and say, is this how I want to be? Do I think these people are spiritually evolved? Do I think these people can answer the questions that I have? Can they solve my problems? Can they satisfy my deepest needs and desires? In other words, are they satisfied? Are they knowledgeable? Because a lot of times, young people who are evolving, they'll go to their church, their priest, pastor, or whatever, and ask questions that he can't answer. So you don't want to go to a guru who can't answer all your questions. Where have I come from? And all those questions. What happens after I die? Why is there suffering? These are questions everybody has.
Mm.
But a lot of times you don't get the right answers. Or as another thing is also there are books, Indian scripture, Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and so on, and that's where genuine spiritual masters get their knowledge. So they're explaining what's in the book. So my spiritual master said, if you ask a spiritual master who's your guru, and he says, I don't have one, that's not a qualification. He's making things up, because generally gurus are presenting a tradition and keeping it intact as they've learned it. And so it's preserved. It's a preserved tradition. So every time you want a guru, ask who is your guru? Where did he get his information? Because they're meant to preserve it and pass it down. That's how all great traditions work.
Yeah, I love that because today I can see there are so many persons, they say they are kind of channels, mediums. And I always think, wow, why would I believe that?
Yeah.
Maybe you
You
made
can
it
see
up,
by the
maybe
result.
some entity is
Yeah.
talking through you. It's kind of, yeah, shady.
Yeah, well, look, you go and look at the result. Someone says they're a good doctor. Well, talk to his patients.
Yeah.
Who is he good? So he's a guru. Well, look at the people. Are they in a state that you want to be in?
Mm,
Or are they as confused as you are?
mm,
You know, are they as are they happy? Are they satisfied? Are they exuding love and compassion and kindness? Because they should be, because those are spiritual symptoms.
mm,
And so, I think that people intuitively understand what it means to be spiritual, to be a little more detached than the average person, more calm than the average, more peaceful, more happier than. So if a guru can't give that to you, something's wrong. Or what to speak if he doesn't have it himself.
mm,
Sometimes you find, you hear these stories, it's so common, you know, the guru is like, 2 a.m, one of his female disciples is walking out of his room. Like, what's going on here? That is so common. So, a guru is not like that. He's self-satisfied. He's self-controlled. He's disciplined. And I think it's easy to understand, spiritual people are simple. They're not sensual people. They're controlled people.
mm,
And I think that ultimately, if you're looking for knowledge, you're looking for truth, and you're sincere, then the saying goes, when you're sincere, the guru will show up. There's many stories. It's such a common thing in every tradition. It's a common thing where people hit a stage in their life where they're just like they hit a wall. They don't know what to do, where to go. And they're like, oh God, if you exist, show me. And like the next day, something happens. not like a lightning bolt on the head, but they'll meet someone or they'll get a book or something will happen. And all those people will tell you that I had to go through all these experiences in life to come to that point where I was ready. And where, if the knowledge that was given to me at this time was given to me a year ago, I wouldn't even have been interested at all. I wouldn't have been ready for it. So, not everybody's ready. And you may have to go through many things in life to get ready to. You're like, okay, what's this all about? I need to know. Some people want to know, but some people need to know. And when it's like, I need to know, I need to solve, I don't know what happens after I die. I need to know. I can't just live this life not knowing. I need to know how to be happy without materialism and drugs and sex and all these things. Um, I need to be happy within me. I need to know. I need to know. Then divine arrangement, you'll meet the right guru.